Welcome back to another episode of Train for Life Fitness Podcast. Today, we are undertaking a deep dive into what is probably the single most crucial concept for anyone who's serious about getting stronger, boosting their endurance, and just, avoiding stagnation.
Progressive overload.
Progressive overload,
right.
Or PO. We're looking at a foundational guide on strength and endurance that really treats this principle not just as a technique, but as the fundamental engine of all long-term improvement.
And that's exactly the right way to frame it, an engine. So to start, let's just define it right away. Progressive overload simply means you have to gradually and strategically increase the demands you place on your body.
Gradually and strategically, those are the key words.
They are. This isn't about finding the absolute hardest workout you can imagine and just sticking to it forever. It's about making sure that your workout is always slightly more challenging this week than it was last week.
It's a steady climb, not one giant leap to the top.
Precisely. And I'm glad you emphasized gradually, because the goal here isn't just to, wear yourself out. It's about tapping into the body's natural ability to adapt. That's how we get better results, how we avoid those frustrating plateaus, and maybe most importantly, how we stay injury-free for the long haul.
Okay, so let's get into that. The biological mechanism. What's actually happening inside our bodies when we do this correctly?
It's really fascinating. When we talk about adaptation, we're essentially talking about forcing the body to re-engineer itself just on a tiny scale.
Re-engineer itself.
Yeah. Every time you push your body just past its current comfort zone, you send a really powerful signal to your whole system.
You're telling it, hey, what you got right now isn't quite enough.
Exactly. You're telling your muscles, your bones, even your heart and lungs that their current level of performance is, well, it's no longer sufficient for the job. And the body's response, it rebuilds stronger.
So that's where the growth actually happens.
That's where it all happens. Muscles repair and grow, connective tissues get stronger, bones get denser, and your cardiovascular system becomes more efficient. It's this amazing feedback loop, but you have to be the one to start it.
By providing that controlled, manageable stress.
Controlled and manageable, that's the key.
That makes the why so much clearer. So if that's the mechanism, what are the big results we see from doing this consistently? Why should someone bother with this instead of, say, just doing the same routine they like every week?
Well, the benefits are, they're pretty comprehensive. First, and this is the most obvious one, it builds strength. Pushing your current limit is literally the only way to increase the force your muscles can produce. Then you have the conditioning side. It boosts endurance, especially when you play with things like volume or rest times. And of course, that regular challenge supports muscle growth. It keeps everything toned and strong.
Okay, but that fourth benefit you mentioned is, for me, the real psychological game changer. The thing that keeps people from quitting, preventing progress plateaus.
Yes. Everyone hits them, and it's so frustrating. You feel like you're just spinning your wheels.
You show up, you do the work, but nothing changes.
But what's so interesting about a plateau is that it's not a sign of failure. It's actually a sign of complete success and adaptation. Your body has perfectly adapted to the stress you're giving it.
It's gotten too comfortable.
It's gotten too comfortable. The guide we looked at was crystal clear on this. Stagnation is the enemy. If your workouts don't change, your progress will stop. PO is the strategy that keeps the body guessing and growing.
Okay, perfect. So we get the principle. Let's get practical. How do we actually do this? When people hear progressive overload, they just think, add more weight. Is that it?
That's definitely the most obvious one, which is why it's our method 1. Lift heavier weights. It's simple, it's effective, but you have to be smart about it. You can't just jump from lifting 20 pounds to 40 pounds.
So what does that small, smart increase look like?
Let's say you're comfortably lifting 20 pounds for your reps. After a couple of weeks, you try adding just 2.5 or maybe 5 pounds. That tiny jump is enough to trigger that new adaptation without totally overwhelming your system.
But what if I'm more focused on endurance? Or maybe I'm just worried about the stress that heavier weight puts on my joints. Do I just have to give up?
Not at all. And that brings us right to method 2. Do more reps or sets. This is all about adjusting your total volume.
So, same weight, but more work.
Exactly. If you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps and it feels manageable, you can stick with that weight but aim for 3 sets of 12. Or keep the reps at 10 but add a whole 4th set. You're increasing the total work performed, which is fantastic for muscle growth and endurance.
I like that. Feels like a different kind of challenge. Now, what about people who mainly do bodyweight exercises? They can't just grab a heavier dumbbell.
For them, it's method 3. Make exercises harder. This is where you manipulate the movement itself to increase the difficulty.
Like going from knee push-ups to full push-ups.
That's the classic example. You're changing the leverage. Or think about moving from a standard plank to an extended plank where your arms are further out in front of you. That makes it so much harder.
Right, you're forcing your core to work more.
Immensely more. Even something as simple as adding a resistance band to a bodyweight squat changes everything. It adds resistance right at the top of the movement where you're strongest.
Okay, so we've covered weight, volume, and the exercise mechanics. What about pure conditioning and intensity?
That leads us to method 4, shorten rest time. This one is sneaky but effective. If you usually rest for, say, 90 seconds between sets, try cutting that down to 60 or even 45 seconds.
Why does that work so well?
It's primarily an endurance tool. By cutting the rest, you keep your heart rate up and your muscles stay under metabolic stress for longer. You're basically training your body to recover faster and more efficiently.
It sounds tough. And finally, there's the one that requires a bit more planning in your week. Method 5, add workout days.
Correct. Increasing frequency. But this one comes with a huge warning label.
Okay.
You should only do this if your recovery is already dialed in. I mean, your sleep, your nutrition, your existing rest days. If that's all on point, then maybe you can add another day. But adding a workout without the recovery to back it up, that's just a fast track to burnout and injury.
You have to earn that extra day.
You have to earn it. And that brings us right to what is probably the most important part of this whole deep dive, safety and sustainability. This is a long-term game. It's useless if you hurt yourself in week 3.
Right. So let's talk about the common mistakes people make.
Absolutely. And they almost always come from good intentions, just mixed with a little impatience. Let's start with what happens outside the gym. Mistake 1, skipping rest and recovery.
People think it's hardcore to train 7 days a week.
They do, but muscle growth, hypertrophy, it doesn't happen when you're lifting. It happens when you're resting and your body is rebuilding. On top of that, you have your central nervous system, your CNS.
Okay, what about the CNS?
Constant high-intensity training just fries it. When your CNS is fatigued, you feel sluggish, your strength drops, and your injury risk skyrockets because your brain can't communicate effectively with your muscles. Sleep and rest days aren't optional. They're part of the program.
That's a huge point. Most people just think, my muscles are sore, not my nervous system is tired.
It's so much deeper than just soreness, which leads right into mistake 2, ignoring body signals. There's a big difference between the burn of discomfort, which you need to push through, and sharp, actual pain.
Discomfort versus pain.
Yes. Pushing through that burning sensation in your last rep, that's necessary for growth. Pushing through a sharp pain in your shoulder joint, that's destructive. That's how you strain a tendon. You have to listen to the whispers before they become screams.
And that ties into the next mistake, which I see all the time, especially with social media. Mistake 3, rushing progress.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone wants results yesterday. You see someone's highlight reel online and you want to get there now. But the guide is so clear on this. Gradual improvements are safer and, believe it or not, more effective in the long run.
So don't try to change everything at once.
Please don't. If you add 10 pounds, shorten your rest, and add another set all in the same week, you haven't progressively overloaded. You've just shocked your system. It's consistency over intensity every time.
And that leads to the final and maybe most critical mistake, the one where ego really gets in the way.
Mistake 4, compromising form. I cannot stress this enough. If you have to swing, jerk, or contort your body to lift a weight, you haven't earned the right to lift that weight.
You see it constantly.
All the time.
Yeah.
Proper technique is everything. The moment you sacrifice your form to add 5 more pounds, you're no longer hitting the target muscle effectively. You're just accumulating what I call junk volume.
Junk volume. I like that.
It's reps that just make you tired without actually providing the right stimulus. And worse, you are putting a massive amount of stress on your joints and ligaments, which dramatically increases your risk of injury. The last rep should look just as clean as the first.
That's the gold standard.
Okay.
Let's pull all of this together. Let's make it actionable with that 8-week sample plan from the guide. This is how you can apply this stuff safely, step by step.
Right. This is where theory becomes practice. It all starts with weeks 1 and 2, the foundation.
Okay, what's the goal here?
The only goal here is mastery. You pick a weight that's challenging, but one you can manage with perfect textbook form. The guide suggests a baseline of 3 sets of 10 reps with a 60-second rest. You need to really own this before you even think about changing anything.
So once you own it, you move into weeks 3 and 4. This is the first overload.
Exactly. And you only make one change. You can either increase the weight by that small strategic amount we talked about, maybe 5 pounds, or you keep the weight the same, but you add reps. Go for 12 reps per set instead of 10.
Just one or the other. not both.
Just one. You're just nudging the body to adapt.
Then we get to weeks 5 and 6. What's the next layer of challenge?
Now that your body is adapting, we can shift focus to volume or conditioning. So here, you could add a whole 4th set to your workout. Or you could stick to 3 sets, but you shorten that rest time down to 30 or 45 seconds.
Boosting that metabolic stress we talked about earlier.
Precisely. And then you hit weeks 7 and 8. By this point, you're stronger and your work capacity is way up.
So what's the final challenge?
Here you have a choice. You can go back to trying to lift heavier, making another small jump in weight. Or you can introduce a tougher exercise variation. The guide's example was great. If you were doing a flat bench press, you could switch to an incline press.
A completely new stimulus.
A new stimulus. It challenges the muscles from a different angle and forces new coordination. It keeps things fresh and keeps the adaptation going.
This whole 8-week plan really drives home the point about patience. It shows how small, consistent changes build on each other for steady progress. It's the perfect antidote to the plateau.
It's the roadmap.
It is. So to wrap up, progressive overload really is the framework for any long-term fitness goal. The core message here is all about patience, listening to your body, and never ever compromising on good technique. It's about taking charge of your fitness journey, which is what the Let's Roar concept is all about, building that transformation through smart, tailored plans.
And that actually raises a really interesting final thought for you, the listener, to take away. Given that this whole principle is about adapting to gradually increasing challenges to avoid stagnation, where else in your life could you apply that?
Oh, that's a great question.
Think beyond the gym. Are you hitting a plateau in a skill you're trying to learn, or maybe in your professional life? Are you stuck because you're just repeating the same level of effort every single day? Maybe the answer is to apply a little progressive overload there too. Start small, increase the challenge slowly, and see what happens.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, let's roar.